Over on this lovely stream, Moke, Fuudo, and Bonchan made a tier list. And they did it S, A, B, and C tier. So Mr. Crimson made the English version like this. He just did a little translation here. But I figured instead of even looking at this, I just made the tier list. So this is Japan's tier list. This is the Moke, Fuudo. Oh, there's a U. Oh, there's another U. That's a D. That's an O. I'm gonna just put Bon. Tier. Well, hold on. Let me get this E out there. Tier. There we go. Hold on. List. What you guys have to understand about tier lists, right? They really don't fucking matter that much in the context of like where the characters actually are in the game. The reason tier lists are useful is to start discussion. It's so early into the season. The reason they create this tier list is so that they can sit in a room and discuss with each other who they think is strong and why. That's the point of creating a tier list. That will make you a better player because you think about the game critically rather than just create a tier list. So they had an S tier, A tier, B tier, and C tier. Those are the ones they had. And I gotta tell you, there's some that really surprised me. So let's start from the top. First and foremost, obviously, Rashid's still at the very top. I think nobody's kind of surprised about this, right? And Bison second. That made sense to me. Then after Bison, I was thinking to myself, who would probably be the third best character in the game? Ibuki's still strong. I think Urian's good in this version. I think G's good in this version. And they put fucking Guile. I'm super surprised. I think Guile's better in this version, but damn, third best character in the game right after Rashid and Bison? That's super surprising to me. Does order in each tier matter? I'm not sure. But either way, I wouldn't have had him in this tier anyway. Okay, so I saw Guile. I thought that was weird. Urian is actually probably where I expected. I thought Urian would be around top 5. His buffs are solid, and also his new V-skill is very good. And it really helps him in a ton of matchups that are usually pretty tough for him, I think, especially like zoning heavy matchups. Abigail, not surprising. Super good. Good buffs, good new V-skill. A lot of the top tier characters got nerfed. Not surprising, right? G, finally. If you guys recall the last, maybe midway through last year, Japan made a tier list and G was like in C tier or something. It was a while ago, but G was pretty low for them. I think given that most of the best G players are in the US, it makes sense that we rated him higher maybe than some of the Japanese players. So I'm not that surprised to see that G is this high now. He's super good in this version. In particular, his V-skill 2 is useful in matchups that he was already probably pretty strong in before. A couple of them, like Zangief, I think is a matchup that it's like really useful in. Any matchup where the levels win him the match immediately almost is like really good. As useful as V-skill 1 is, he actually has a usable V-skill 2 somehow. Then after that is Chun-Li. I think I've seen a lot of you guys say stuff like Chun-Li is not S tier, Chun-Li is not that good, Chun-Li this and that. Chun-Li is great in this version. She got some really, really good buffs that not only help her combo damage, but also help her neutral quite a bit. Getting a knockdown on heavy kick legs is huge, really good. And besides that, in this version, with nerfs to a lot of the other strong grounded characters, her having now an actual knockdown option, meterless, is so good. Is she an S tier? I don't know. I probably would have had her in A tier, but like I'm not that surprised she's that high. I don't think her V-skill 2 is that good, but her V-skill 1 buff is very good. She got better in like almost every way, right? Like she can get V-skill 1 off stand medium punch from so far, which means that her combo damage and corner carry is much higher than it was before. Terrible list. What the fuck is this? Read the message over there on the side. This is the tier list of Moke, Fuudo, and Bonchan. 3 players who are about 150 times better than everybody in this chat room combined, including me. It doesn't mean that their tier list is naturally going to be better than yours or mine or whoever. This is just their thoughts on the game. A lot of you guys are like, are these guys fucking stupid? Why do they have this character here? Why do they have this character there? I mean, look, there was a stream in Japanese where they discuss why they put every character in every place, right? Obviously, they have reason behind it, but it's an early tier list. It's just interesting to read their opinion. You can have whatever opinion you want. I'm just telling you, if you come in and say, wow, who made this tier list? Are they drunk and stupid and bad? They're all better players than you. It's made to create discussion. People take tier lists so literally and they abuse tier lists. You're just supposed to look at it and think about it. I don't give a shit about the exact placement of everything. I just want to discuss it and think my thoughts out loud so that I can think about the game. For me, I'm very surprised that they have Akuma, Ibuki, and Karen so low. Because I think Ibuki is probably still at worst like a top 10 character. I think of all these characters, Akuma was probably nerfed the hardest between these 3 that are in A tier. Even with the nerfs to those characters, they're still really good. So I think that those characters will probably go up. The other one is, I'm surprised about Zeku. He's really good in this version, even with some slight nerfs. He's so solid, right? He's really, really good. As good as Dream Robot, dropping the big 4 months. So for when I look at the S tier, Guile is the big surprise to me. I think every other character there makes sense. Even Chun-Li. I think Chun is great in this version. Okay, so A tier. Some surprises, obviously. Kage is there, and I think a lot of people, they're like, what the hell did Kage get that makes him so good? So Kage got a lot of stuff. First of all, he has a better combo off of his jab if it hits counter hit. That's something that seems small, but is huge, right? I mean, how often do you land counter hit slides in this game, right? You swing with a button on reversal or something like that, or you frame trap someone, you find counter hit jab. Great. Second of all, he has better Oki off of his uppercuts. So when he uppercuts people in his juggles or he uppercuts people in whatever, he gets better Oki. It's not fantastic, but it's better than it was before, which I think is great. His V skill 2 with his V trigger 1 is really good, I think. The jumping stomp, super strong. And then they also buffed his target combo. You guys know the target combo where he punches straight like that, his forward heavy punch, and then he does a roundhouse kick after. That target combo was extremely good before, but it didn't hit on crouching characters. So that's probably his best far normal, and they made it better because it hits on crouchers. That shit is mad good. He now has a far hit confirmable target combo that knocks down. And if you have V skill, it leads to decent damage in a setup, which is like fucking tight. I'm surprised how high he is, but I think I would have guessed that he is in A tier now. I don't know if I would have put him first. I don't know if this is also in order. It doesn't say in like the original tweet. Kage is solid now. Zangief also is very good in this version. He's another character that benefited from a lot of the nerfs. Most of the top characters that were harder matchups for him or something are worse. And also, he fights Rashid well, and he fights Bison, right? Which is 2 of the strong characters. Him and Urian is probably a slight loss, so that's not that bad. The only really top tier character that dunks him is probably G, and that actually maybe got worse. So that was not an easy matchup before. If you guys don't know, G's V skill 2, he does like the flex or like the Q pose, and then it makes it so that when he gets knocked down, he doesn't lose a level, and he gets a damage reduction, right? So he takes less damage, which means that Zangief does less damage to him, and when Zangief finally hits him, he won't lose his level the first time he gets hit. And in a matchup where levels are extremely important, that's really bad for Zangief. Yeah, you guys are all like, wow, why do they have Gil in C tier? He's brand new. They don't know. They just put him down there. Zangief is solid in this version. Akuma, I'm surprised he's this low, but he got some heavy nerfs compared to a lot of the other characters. I think he'd probably still be up here for me, but Colleen is very good still. Nikali is about the same, still very good. His new V skill might be good, but it's hard to know for sure. It seems like there's some good setups, but most of the stuff I've seen, it's all right. Zeku is still really good too. I'm actually kind of surprised he's here. I thought he'd be higher. Manat is also higher than I expected, but fine in this version. Ibuki is another one that, can you guys believe they have Karen and Ibuki back here at the end of A? I thought at least one of them would be up in S. I would guess that Ibuki is probably at least as good as G. And probably Karen too, who seems like they should still be in A tier. I guess maybe some people would say Cammy. I think she's fine where she is. And I think maybe Birdie is a lot of people surprised he went down so much. He got nerfed pretty heavily, I think, compared to a lot of the other strong characters. Mika, that's an interesting one too. Yeah, I'm surprised Mika's here. Laura, you know how Japan is about Laura. There's no belief. There's never been any belief. I don't know that Laura is S tier though. I know a lot of people saw her buffs and was like, she's so good. I don't know if she's S tier. I think she could maybe be A tier, but Japan has never rated her that high. I think she's probably high B or A tier. She's probably in that region somewhere. For A tier, the biggest surprise to me, so far is that we haven't seen Poison. She's so low on their tier list. I can't believe how low they have her. I couldn't look at Poison and like Alex and think to myself, well, they seem about even in power level. We'll go to B tier. First is Lucia. That seems about right to me. Lucia, Sagat, Cammy, Laura, big surprise. I think all of you guys are pretty surprised about that. You say Kage is greater than Laura with like the lull phase. Kage is good in this version. I think a lot of the discussion in the chat is people coming in, not thinking about the changes and being like, Kage, he's a bad character. That's what the internet told me. He must be bad. He's actually a good character now, I think. Kage doesn't have limbs. His forward fierce is really good. And also his crouching medium kick's not that bad either. He's not like a super good character. Like, I don't think he's like S tier, but I think Kage is solid. I was playing him a lot in the last version. I think this version, he's tight. Anyway, Laura is surprising to have here. Nash is probably about where he needs to be. Sakura, I feel like Sakura is good, but maybe she is probably in this area, to be honest. Ryu and Ken, I feel like they just got lumped together. Ken's got to be better than Ryu still in this version. I'm surprised he's this low. Blanca, Birdie got nerfed quite a bit. That's probably one of the biggest swings in this patch. On one hand, the nerfs to his buttons are pretty rough. On the other hand, his ability to whiff punish has gone up. So, you know, it's like he already could whiff punish all those buttons. So it's like, heavy on birdie nerfs for sure compared to a character like Rashid. Yeah, and then Cody, they have very low still. Balrog is so surprising to me. I think his new V skill is great. I thought Rog was going to go up for them in this version for sure. And then Jury and Mika. Mika's pretty low. I guess they don't rate her that highly. I know Fuudo is apparently not too happy with Mika right now. There was that tweet that he sent, or that Luffy sent, where Fuudo walked up to him at the airport and said Mika's dead now. That was before he played this version, but the nerf to crouching medium punch is definitely big, I think. But I don't know if it's big enough to put her down all the way down here. To me, Balrog is probably lower than he should be, and probably Laura and Mika. Those definitely surprised me as much as I drink Mizu, who dropped a big 3 months. Yeah, I get the sense that with Rog or Laura, they don't really value them for some reason. Maybe their stability issue, or maybe they just don't think that they're that good in some matchups that they think for like better characters, right? I think Balrog to me seems much better in this version. A lot of his harder matchups got nerfed, or they are dealt with better by his V skill too. Hey, don't worry about Gil, by the way. They just put him here because they don't know where the fuck he goes. In their C tier, they have Poison. I'm so surprised she's this low. She is, I feel like, a very solid character. I'm very surprised they have her this low. I think she handles most of the projectile characters well. She deals even with the big bodies fine. I'm surprised. I think she's a pretty good character, actually. And she got buffs, so I don't know. Yeah, Sim, Alex, Vega, Ed being down here is very surprising to me too. I feel like Ed is great in this version. And Honda too. I don't think Honda's that bad either. Yeah, the new flicker buff, especially for Ed, is great. Falcon and Fang are not strong characters, so yeah, maybe. Ed got a good buff to his flicker, which means like all of his pokes canceled into flicker are so much better. He can't get punished anymore for committing to it, so he gets the free chip check, right? It kind of reminds me of like how DiCaprio hands were before, except like hers were -3 even on light, right? These are -2 hands that you can just chip with over and over and over. He's got good movement. His anti-airs are incredibly good. His hit and run game is really solid, actually. His V skill 2 seems good to me, and his V trigger 2 is good too. I think both of his V triggers are good. I would run probably V trigger 2. I think it's more stable. It doesn't lose the V reversal as hard, and it doesn't rely on the setups. It just gives you plus frames that are like really far reaching. You can check somebody with it. Like I'm kind of lobbying for him to be B tier or maybe A tier. I think a lot of people wanted me to talk about where characters were on this patch. So I figured instead of me sitting down and making a tier list, I would just look at somebody else's and talk about it. That's what you have to do with tier lists. It's not an accurate way to look at like characters and be like, okay, well, I just want to know exactly where each character ends up, especially this early in the season. But right, tier lists are great to get discussion going. Whose list is this? It is Moke, Fuudo's, and Bonchan's tier list. I've realized that even if you write it on the screen, people won't often realize that they should read it. Like, even if I made the title of the stream reviewing Moke, Fuudo, and Bonchan's tier list, I think people would be like, hey, whose tier list is this? It was hard to read the handwriting. Look, you don't have to insult me, all right? The only time they read the title is if they want to read the title and not watch the video, but pretend they watched the video. You know what's funny about that? There's often a lot of times where when I look at my YouTube comments, I feel like people didn't watch the video. Or how often do you guys go look on Reddit, and how often do people comment on Reddit posts without reading the article that the post is about? Do I agree with this tier list? I think that there's like lots of things that I would move around, but it's probably on the right track. It's not that far off. Every place tends to have different opinions. And in Japan, there are certain characters that they tend to always rate higher or lower than us. There's some stuff I don't agree with, but you know, it's interesting.